The Pygmy mummies are probably one of the most memorable groups of evil characters in this movie. We knew they would be the first day that we saw drawings of these guys, even maybe before that. Stephen was talking about the Pygmy mummies pretty early on and thinking that they were going to be something that was going to be in this movie that was completely different from what had been in the first film, but still had that dynamism, that scariness, and that kind of crazy creepiness. So to us, right away, we kind of felt the vibe on these guys, and the art department went to work. And from the very beginning, you think about Pygmy mummies, and it's like, oh man, these guys are so rich. You know, what are you going to do? They're going to be small, they're going to be mean, they're going to have big pointy teeth, and they're going to be just ill-tempered and crazed. They're deranged. And this is where we went with it. And Stephen was like, yeah, that's the guys. You know, what are those guys like? And we started to create the drawings. And these guys are swinging through the trees on vines, and they're barefoot, and they've got, you know, sticks growing out of their heads because they've been laying around in the bushes for 3,000 years waiting for somebody to walk into their trap. They've got bone knives and spears and blowguns and all that scary stuff that comes out of the darkest jungles you can imagine. We had all this great artwork of the various devilish ways in which the Pygmy mummies do away with their hapless victims. And everybody just got really charged up about it. It was really clear that these guys were really nasty and frightening and crazy. They were not predictable, and all represented by something that's so small that you can't see them. They're down in the brush somewhere in the dark, and they're going to jump out at you, and they're going to take you down and carry you off to wherever it is they came from, and no one will ever see you again. These are the Pygmy mummies. So when we put these little devils into the hands of the animators, they had a field day, as you might expect. They're really rich characters with running and jumping. They're really trying to figure out what sort of evil intent they have in their motions and their looks. We like to have them be really springy. They fly up through the trees. So we really tried to give them a tremendous amount of character in terms of the way that they move. We start with great photography and good action. And these guys were picked especially to do this because they were really good at falling down and thrashing. But this is where we start. Now we've got someplace to play. Now these guys are really going to give us a challenge as to what we can do to animate them, because there's something going on already in the background that's interesting. Now we've got something that can really make these guys really cool. So here's our Pygmy in plastic render, as we call it, these computer graphics animations before they've been lit and painted. This is their action. As prescribed in the story, that they jump out of the trees and tackle these guys, bring them to the ground, and then stab them with their steely knives. Once we get all that animation worked out, then we actually render it in 3 dimensions with respect to the lighting and everything that was going on in the back lot there where we shot this, or the jungle if you prefer. And you can see the interaction is quite close between the way that they hold on to the characters' heads and tear them apart is all something that was very carefully choreographed to make it look like it all happened in the same place.
The two of you must sacrifice yourselves for me. You shall be rewarded in hell!